Okay, the early Saturday kickoff was at St James's Park, Newcastle at home to Manchester City. Newcastle were woeful on the Monday night game. City, of course, struggled in Europe, but this game last season, Newcastle surprisingly won, even though they had less than 25% of the possession. It was pretty cold up in the northeast, and the first 5 minutes, City totally dominated. They had the ball, and Newcastle clearly were relying on a break to try and penetrate the defence, but as thus far nothing. But in 6 minutes there was a break down the left, and St Maximin, who looked good throughout, cut in inside, but his shot was a bit tame, but it roused the crowd, energised them, and a nice flow developed to the game. Then on 16 minutes, first real purposeful move by City, good movement, and Mahrez was put in by Jesus, but his effort was steered wide. A little later, Fernandinho had a header that just went over from a corner by De Bruyne. And then on 21 minutes, a delightful move down the left. Most of City's good work was going down the left, courtesy of Mendy, Silva and Sterling. And Silva linked up with Sterling with a delightful back heel, and Sterling then cut in towards the box and hit a nice strike to the keeper's left in the corner, and City were 1-up. But it didn't take long, though, for things to change. A good response by Newcastle on 24 minutes. A nice move down the left, and Almiron fed Willens, who cut in onto his right foot and clipped a neat shot that curved in Ederson's corner, and it was back to 1-1. After that, the game really did liven up, and the combination down the left continued to be menacing. Didn't see much of Mahrez on the right, but anyway, we got to the break though, and it was 1-1. So into the second half, and the play developed into total domination by City, pressing forward to get that second goal. But it proved to be much harder than one might have thought. There was Fernandinho got a yellow on 52 for a professional sort of foul. Although Sterling and Silva were still a threat down that left, the actual final ball was missing, and also the keeper Dubrovka was performing well. So we got to the hour mark, it's still 1-1, and City really struggling to create that gilt-edged chance. On 66 minutes, another Dubrovka foot got in the way of De Bruyne's shot from just inside the 6-yard box, and then another double save from Dubrovka a minute later. By the 69th minute, Guardiola had enough. Mahrez came off, Bernardo Silva on, and David Silva off, and Foden on. Linton was substituted for Gale for Newcastle. And 71 minutes, there was a good effort, but by Bernardo, but his final touch let him down. 78 minutes then, an effort from De Bruyne which was deflected wide, and it looked like that it could be one of those days for City. And then 81 minutes, completely out of the blue, outside the box, the ball was chested down by De Bruyne, and he hit the ball like a rocket, and it shot 30 odd yards, hit the top of the bar and went in, and it was a tremendous volley, and really Dubrovka having no chance. So City had restored their lead, they were 2-1 up. But again, resilient Newcastle. 6 minutes later, a rather foolish challenge by Fernandinho prevented an attack developing down the right. it would have been fair dues if he got a second yellow, but he didn't. But they'd still paid. The free kick was taken quickly while City were trying to organise their defence. It was pushed out to the edge of the box, and John Joe Shelby ran in, hit the ball, a delightful curve on it, went in the right hand corner of Ederson's goal, and Newcastle were back at 2-2. The St James's Park crowd roared with approval. There was a final chance for Sterling on 92 minutes, but to be perfectly frank, City huffed and puffed, but they didn't really look like they were going to get a winner. And the final whistle rang, and the final score then, a delighted Steve Bruce, Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Bottom of the table clash then at St Mary's. Southampton second from bottom at home to Watford, who are at the bottom. Ings has been a sharpshooter for Southampton, but hasn't been on the winning side, so he was hoping to change that. An early chance for Watford though from Sarr, early strike after a defensive lapse, and then on 24 minutes the same player Sarr ran onto a delightful through ball and clipped it high into the net to put the Hornets one up. He then had a volley that could have doubled the lead, but it was pushed it clear. So it was 1-0 at the break. Then the second half, Southampton came into it much more. Long's effort was pushed over by Foster, and then on 77 minutes, another effort was cleared off the line by Cathcart. But a minute later, Ginepri got a stroke of luck as he cut to the byline, going past the defender. The ball actually hit his hand, but his cross was delightfully put away and pushed over the line by Ings to level the scores at 1-1. And then on 83 minutes, a free kick just outside the box, and the specialist for Southampton on free kicks, Ward-Prowse, hit an absolute cracker from 30 yards that went just inside Foster's right hand post. Right, Foster got a touch to it, but he couldn't keep it out, and so Southampton had turned it round and were 2-1 up. And that's how it ended. Much needed win for Hasenhüttl. Southampton winning this bottom of the table clash by 2-1. So to Turf Moor in Burnley at home to Crystal Palace. There's no Westford or Brady for Burnley. Sorry, Brady in for Westford for Burnley. For Palace, they were without Cahill and Ward, both injured at the back. Dan and Kelly in from the start. A pretty uneventful first half. The only highlight was a goal ruled out for offside after a bit of ping pong in Burnley's box, and Ayew finished it off. But finally, in added time, Zaha, who cut in from the left, managed to hit a shot that went through Pope. Definitely a goalkeeper error, and in at the break 1-0 to Palace. Right from the kick-off virtually in the second half, Peters from Burnley had an effort which just hit the side netting, and Wood also had an effort that went high and wide and should have done better. His next effort, a header, was cleared off the line by MacArthur. So Burnley were knocking at the door, but they seemed to lack that cutting edge. 78 minutes, a real defensive calamity from their captain Mee, and Slop took advantage, hit the ball on the volley, and it seemed to go through Pope, and that was 2-0. Second error really for the goalkeeper. A flying save from Gaeta kept a clean sheet from a Wood header, but Palace held on for a relatively comfortable 2-0 win. Final score then at Turf Moor, Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2.